Okay, well, thank you for having this opportunity. We have such a fabulous panel here. Welcome everybody who happens to be in the audience to our session on distribution systems for sustainable, equitable, and resilient food systems. So I'm Gail Feenstra. I'm with the UC Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education Program. And I'll be facilitating the session today and setting the stage first with a little background about where this all came from. And then I'll introduce our three speakers all together, and then we'll let them have a go at telling you a little bit about the three different types of models we have to talk with you about today. So maybe next slide, please. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education Program, which is actually a statewide program of ANR. It's our cooperative extension system here, Agriculture and Natural Resources, here in California. And since its inception in 1986, SAREP has been committed to supporting a food and agricultural system that's economically viable, environmentally sound and resilient, and socially just and responsible. And so that is our basic set of values. Okay, next slide, please. So the way that we carry out that broad mandate is working in 4 different focus areas. The first is regenerative agriculture that meets the triple bottom line, resilient food supply chains, healthy, vibrant, sustainable communities, and equity and justice in the food system. They all interact with each other. However, in this session, we're especially going to focus on that resilient supply chain section and tell you about 3 different kinds of supply chains and how they're impacting community food security. Okay, next slide. In specific, one type of distribution strategy that we have found to improve resilience in the food system, and especially as the result of the pandemic, is working with regional food hubs. Food hubs are distribution enterprises that allow for aggregation of the harvest from multiple growers and bring them together before it then goes to distribution to processors, retailers, restaurants, or consumers. Many of the food hubs see themselves as linchpins in a resilient regional food system. They provide efficiencies and markets for farmers, and also reliable access for consumers. So back in 2017, with funding from the Global Food Initiative, SAREP launched its first California Food Hub Network. And you can see some of the folks there, and some of the speakers will be in that group there on the right. And the network has allowed all of the food hubs to collaborate and share learning with each other, strengthening the success of the hubs and also the growers they support. Next. We have found that the food hubs, who you'll be hearing more from here in a couple of minutes, they all provide logistical and networking support for their farmer suppliers. So we see that this is kind of a multiplier effect. Working with the food hubs supports farmers and supports communities. And as you can see from that little graph on the right-hand side, in the time that we've been working with the food hubs, their average gross annual sales have increased. So we see this as a sign of success. So next slide. So we're now about to hear from 3 exciting speakers about their organizations and how they work with food hubs, or how they have managed the food hubs, and how they have built resilience in their communities and improved food security. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about each of these speakers. First, you're going to hear from Rashad Armstead, who is the, you might not know this, but he is the 2019 Food Network champion for Chopped. He has had a long commitment to cooking and to community. He launched his first restaurant, Crave Barbecue, in 2017 in West Oakland. And in that same year, he founded the Black Food Collective, which unites and supports Black-owned food-related businesses. His goal is to secure financial investments for promising ventures so they're better able to realize ongoing success and focus on community. So we'll be hearing from him first. Then right after that will be Sierra Segura, who is the program and policy director. Actually, she is now the co-director of Mandela Partners. She leads the strategy and evaluation for Mandela Partners food access programs and oversees the operation for Mandela Partners in-house food hub, Mandela Produce Distribution. She also manages key partnerships with government agencies and community-based organizations, and she supports policy initiatives that uplift local food economies. And then finally, we'll hear from Susie Sutphin, who is the executive director of the Tahoe Food Hub. She's got a very rich and interesting background in marketing, communication, and community organizing, and has used all of that to build smarter, more equitable food systems. She developed the Tahoe Food Hub, which connects local sustainably grown food from regional farms to markets. She recently received the 2021 California Food and Farm Champions Award. And part of the reason she got that was the huge pivot that she helped coordinate, and she'll tell you about this, that organized their Giving Box program to engage farmers, local businesses, and the community to get local food into the hands of hungry people. So without further ado, I'd like to give these panelists the chance to tell you about what they've been up to. So Rashad is starting.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing today? Can you guys see me clearly?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, hold on 1 second, you guys, while we get this together. Okay. Again, I am Chef Rashad Armstead. I am an Oakland-based entrepreneur. I've been in the business now. I'm celebrating my 7th year, actually, coming up this November. I've worked in the food industry since I was 15. Started off as a dishwasher and worked my way all the way up. As Gail mentioned, in 2019, I won the Food Network show Chopped. And with that, all of the success that came with that, I actually used it to do things that could really impact and change my community. And back in 2017, I launched an organization by the name of the Black Food Collective. And in the Black Food Collective, what we wanted to do, our main goal was to bring Black-owned food businesses together, because we had noticed that we as Black-owned food entrepreneurs, we were being left out of a lot of conversations. We were being left out a lot of opportunities, such as access to capital, access to actual locations, or just basic resources that we need to grow our businesses. So through all of that, we've done everything from Amazon events, Facebook events, Afrotech, we've done it 2 years in a row. And since we started in 2017, we've made Black-owned food businesses anywhere between, I think the number that we've added up is about $325,000 that we've put into the hands of our members that are involved in Black Food Collective. And since when COVID hit, I knew that it would be a really rough time for Black-owned food businesses. So I decided to change my model and change my intention and turn Black Food Collective into an impact investment company. And we wanted to invest money into these businesses because I think that's one thing that sometimes there's not too many platforms that are specifically talking about investing in a certain group of people that are underserved, that are underprivileged. And I wanted to be that platform to really get money directly into the hands of the businesses. And especially because I've lived the entrepreneurial lifestyle, I know what it's like to build a business from nothing, just having a dream and a desire of wanting to serve food. And I know how hard it can be. So I'm using all of that knowledge that I have experienced, and I'm helping these businesses that are involved in the Black Food Collective. So since COVID hit, we decided to launch a commercial kitchen space where we're allowing these businesses to do pop-ups and also do their caterings out of. And the name of the kitchen is called Epic Ventures Test Kitchen, which that's what I'll be discussing in a few minutes. And our main intention was with that is to create a ghost kitchen model that was more focused on people and not profits. The ghost kitchen industry is going to be one of the biggest industries in the future. And with that is going to come the fact, historically, we understand that minorities and underserved communities are always left out of growing industries. And so this way we can actually change that and put the money and the opportunities back into the hands of the community. Because we believe that if you put the resources in the hands of the community, especially small businesses, that's the way that you can fight hunger. That's the way that you can fight crime. That's the way that you can fight everything. Every challenge that every community faces starts off by investing in food entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in general within the community. So again, Epic Ventures Test Kitchen. EPIC stands for Edifying People and Impacting Communities. That's our goal. That's our intention. That's our mission in those 4 words. So as I go on, I'll click onto the next slide. Okay, before I show you that. So Epic Ventures Test Kitchen is a concept, and we're focusing on building an ecosystem within our community. Our goal is not just to offer mini kitchen spaces, but we want to offer this big, humongous, I want to call it an ecosystem, but you can also call it a food hub. Our kitchen, our ghost kitchen is going to offer 300 to 320 square foot kitchen spaces, 5 storefront mini restaurants, a 300,000 square foot commissary kitchen, a garden that will be ran by local farmers, a 2,500 square foot cannabis certified kitchen, a business development center, and a community gathering space. Each of these, and also we did not include in there, also a 2,500 square foot mini market space. This is what I believe is a way that we could fight poverty, fight hunger, is by investing in businesses and creating a model like this where it's going to be affordable for people to get into these spaces. Right now, typically on average, the ghost kitchen rent is going anywhere between $7,000 to $10,000 a month. Our spaces are going to be anywhere between $2,000 to $2,500 a month. Our storefronts are going to be anywhere between $25,000 to $3,000 a month, but they're going to come fully equipped with everything that you need. So the businesses, when they come into the space, they're going to basically just be able to walk in there and start doing their business. Our intention is that we want to see them succeed. And we also want to see them tap into markets that you don't see too many minorities, or you don't see too many folks that live under the poverty line being able to access these type of opportunities, which is why we want to do a 2,500 square foot certified cannabis kitchen, so that we can have people that want to step into the cannabis butter and oil industry, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry. We want to see more people of color involved in those. Our business development center will focus on helping businesses build their businesses where there'll be no judgment, where they can come with us with an idea and we will actually help them launch their business. And then our community gathering space, that's where we want to be able to, again, have the community be able to come here and support these businesses as much as possible. So this is the vision for Epic Ventures Test Kitchen. Our goal is to obtain a 20,000 square foot lot, and the entire development will be built out of shipping containers because we are focused on sustainability and being eco-friendly. We will have everything from solar panels. If we can even get a self-sustaining water system, that would be a goal also. But we want to really make sure that we are being eco-friendly in every way possible, and that we are offering a really great creative space for the community to come and for businesses to be able to feel comfortable. As you see from our guardian, from our meeting area, our gathering space, where the 5 storefront restaurants that will be activated constantly. These are restaurants that actually want to interact with customers and have a storefront. And then if you look on the bigger model from the bird view, though all those top spaces that you see in the bottom containers, those are individual restaurants for each of the businesses that want to be inside of there. And if you look down on the slide, you can actually see what the restaurants will look like. Our goal is to supply all of the equipment that they need. So all they literally have to do is just come in there and open up their business. And this is more so what the actual floor plan looks like. It includes, like I said, everything from the restaurants, community dining, the grocery stores, the community meeting space, the manufacturing kitchen, the commercial kitchen, the cannabis kitchen, and all of our ghost kitchen models also. Again, a better view of the actual entire floor plan. And this is a model that we hope that can be something for not only here in Oakland, but we want to be able to take these models to everywhere. I think one of the things that's missing out of a lot of communities right now is the voice of the entrepreneur that's actually built the business from the ground up, so that the community can understand what an entrepreneurial needs to be successful, which is why we want to build completely turnkey spaces for these restaurants, because we understand how much of a battle it is to open up a business. And we also understand that if you can invest at the beginning impactfully into food entrepreneurs, you give them a better opportunity to succeed in the future, which in turn you build a better community. And so this project is going to be about a $50 to $60 million project, but we know that the impact that this can make in communities across our country. I have, after years of being in the food industry and understanding how economies are built on a local level, food has always been the foundation for everything in our community, for our culture, our health, our well-being, and our jobs. And I think the problem that we're facing now is that we're not investing intentionally into the food industry the way we should on a local level. And with a model like this is a way to where that whole entire project right there could create not only jobs, but it could create hundreds of new entrepreneurs, hundreds of new business owners, because you're giving them everything that they need to be successful. And our goal, our ultimate goal, is to see something like this across our country, where we're actually putting our money where our mouth is. So again, I thank you guys for this opportunity. If you want to get in contact with me, you can reach me at info@epicv.net. The C is missing out of there. So that's info@epic, EPICV.net. Again, we are looking for all the support we need to get this project launched. We already have a location that we have our eye on. This was the first time that I've actually showed these plans to anybody. And so you guys are getting a VIP access to it all before I make the big announcement to everybody. Again, I thank you. I want to publicly thank Mandela Partners for all of your help that you guys have offered and done for the community out here in Oakland, and every other food person that's doing anything out there to impact the community. I thank you. And for all of the students that are watching, I want to just leave you with this. It is yours and my responsibility to put people before we do anything else. We have to support one another. We have to invest in one another. We have to, anywhere we can put our resources and our talents into people, we have to do that. And to fight hunger, you have to be selfless completely. You have to give your life for this fight, because this is a fight that it won't end until we all come together and fight it together. So I just encourage you to continue to fight. I encourage you to think outside the box. I encourage you to not be afraid, be bold in your approach, because there is a little girl or a little boy out there that is waiting for you to come up with a solution to fight hunger. Thank you guys again, and I appreciate this opportunity.
Beautiful. Okay, who's next? Sierra.
Can I go ahead and get started?
Yeah.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Again, my name is Sierra Segura. I'm now the co-executive director of Mandela Partners. I joined Mandela 3 years ago and brought with me a very deep passion for cultivating resilient local food systems and a commitment to asset building in limited resource communities of color. Before I jump into more detail about Mandela Produce Distribution, I wanted to do some context setting for Mandela Partners. The organization was established in 2004, really to support the development of a community-directed plan that really respected the local community's ability to identify their needs around food and economic opportunity, and to uplift these already existing community assets in the process. So over the last 15 plus years, we've done this by weaving together several areas of work. So from sourcing from sustainable family farmers to creating accessible and affordable healthy food access points, to supporting local food businesses and their creation and expansion, to increasing capital for entrepreneurs of color. I think at the most fundamental level, our programs are really responding to very oppressive systems and extractive policies that have led to longstanding disinvestment among the communities that we seek to serve. So all of these initiatives that I just mentioned really work in tandem with one another to build a resilient local food system and to ensure that dollars are recirculated into local communities and really stay in the community. Next slide, please. So most of my presentation is going to be about Mandela Produce Distribution, which is a project of Mandela Partners. Their mission is first and foremost to support local limited resource farmers of color that use sustainable growing practices. Most of our farmers are certified organic, but not all of them are for a number of reasons. Organic certification can be cost prohibitive, and most of our farmers are monolingual Spanish speakers as well, and CCOF is at times not the most culturally relevant or accessible to non-white English speaking farmers. And sorry, I got a little bit too caught up in that, but what Mandela Produce Distribution really does is establish an alternative network that passes on wholesale prices to retailers, institutions, restaurants, and other mission-aligned community-based organizations. Mandela Produce Distribution was also established primarily to support sourcing for a cooperative grocery store in West Oakland that we helped get off the ground, that has now become totally independently owned and operated. And today they primarily function to source produce for Mandela Partners food access initiatives. And they also service a number of their own customers that aren't directly connected to the nonprofit. Next slide, please. So like I shared before, we really work to prioritize small family farmers that grow sustainably and that are also located within about 150 miles of the food hub in West Oakland. I think our customers are really unique because they make up this niche market that really understands the importance of supporting socially disadvantaged farmers with fair pricing. So as a result, most of our customers really consist of local and independent retailers, community health clinics, and community-based organizations that are running what we believe to be mission-aligned food access programs. I think now we're really trying to grow and diversify our customer base so that, looking at dollars and cents, we can continue to source produce for our food access programs that aren't going to have a very high margin, but we really want to supplement that with higher paying customers that, again, understand the importance of fair pricing and can pay that fair pricing that helps us continue to keep the cost of produce low in limited resource communities. Next slide. So I want to share a little bit more about some of the farmers that we work with. This is Maria Catalan. She's our highest grossing and longest standing farm partner. Maria has been an organic farmer for almost 2 decades now at this point. She is the third generation of her family to carry on this farming tradition. And she and her family have very deep agricultural roots in Guerrero, Mexico. And with generations of farming experience under her belt, she has gone on to become the first recognized female farm laborer to become an organic farm owner in the US, which is really incredible. Right now, she grows over 24 varieties of organic produce in Salinas, California, and provides us some of the most beautiful, high quality produce in our arsenal of product. Next slide, please. This is Efren Avalos. He's been farming his whole life. He's a 4th generation farmer from Michoacan, Mexico, and he also provides us very fresh and delicious vegetables from his farm in Hollister, California. In 1998, he founded Avalos Organic Farm on 4 acres of land, and since then he's expanded to 16 acres. He grows a really broad selection of sustainably grown produce for farmers markets and restaurants, and then of course, Mandela Partners food access initiatives. Next slide. I also wanted to share too that Maria, Efren really, I think, represent the farmers that we work to support. We, over the years, have found that it makes sense for us to really, I think, center farmers that traditionally lack access to these wholesale market channels for a lot of really complex and structurally oppressive reasons. And that's really where we want to continue to bring that value add, is opening up those sales channels for farmers that are just looking to grow their businesses and want to build wealth for their families and their communities. Didn't have a slide for that, but I just wanted to share that before moving on. So this is a picture of Oakland. I think it's important to really situate our work within Oakland's very unique geography. Our organization and our food hubs origins are very much in West Oakland, but over the last 15 years, we've really expanded to other parts of the city, such as San Antonio and Fruitvale, the flatlands of Deep East Oakland, and unincorporated Alameda County. So areas like Ashland, Cherryland, San Lorenzo. I don't know how many of you are very familiar with Alameda County, but the unincorporated areas experience, I think, very, very similar environmental and economic injustices and racist oppression that other parts of Oakland do, and often I think are not as visible as other parts of the city. So we have prioritized a lot of work in that region as well over the last few years. And as some context, in 2019, for example, a little over 12% of Alameda County's residents, or about 200,000 people, were food insecure, meaning they didn't have enough enough food to lead what one might consider a healthy or active lifestyle, according to the USDA. And on top of this, nearly 40% of these food insecure Alameda County residents earned too much to qualify for government benefits such as CalFresh. Obviously, these numbers have only been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, and Black, Indigenous, and other communities of color really face disproportionate rates of hunger. And when compounded with other forms of disinvestment, such as racist, commercial, and residential redlining, job loss, housing insecurity, across the board, the health of these communities are dramatically impacted across generations, right? These things are very long-lasting legacies that we continue to see today. So I thought it, is important to do that base setting for the region that we are doing work in. Next slide, please. So like I shared before, there are very, very deep and close linkages between our food hub, Mandela Produce Distribution, and Mandela Partners food access initiatives, which we kind of contain under this umbrella called the Healthy Retail Network. We have run multiple programs over the years. We had our community produce stand program, which set up mobile farm stands in front of Oakland Unified School District elementary schools, a senior center, the main library, and a local clinic in West Oakland. When the pandemic hit, we had to pause all of that because we weren't able to do that kind of community-facing in-person work. So that's really what catalyzed this community-supported agriculture program that we've been running since about March of 2020. That's grown a lot. I think it began as an emergency relief program. Like, we just wanted to to leverage grant funding that we were blessed to get to continue buying produce from our network of farmers. That was something that was really weighing heavily on me. You know, all of these sales channels kind of got flipped on their head. How do we maintain them for a network of farmers that's really relying on us to generate income for them? So we got creative and used grant funding to purchase produce from those farmers, and then move that produce through the CSA model to various community hubs throughout the city. And we really leaned on our partners and residents that are very close to our work to inform the way that we modeled our distribution. This was not a top-down effort. We really just called people, emailed them, and asked, what do you need? Where do you need it? How can we facilitate this? And we were able to pivot really, really quickly. And I think that is such a testament to the strength of our staff, the strength of our relationships, how much I think our partners trust us to do great work. So just some impact numbers. We source produce from 29 Black, Indigenous, POC farmers over the course of 2020. That created over $196,000 in additional revenue to those farmers, which represented a 61% increase from 2019. We distributed close to 300,000 pounds of produce directly to residents through these neighborhood-based food access points. And then an average of about 1,000 families received these free produce boxes and bags and healthy meals during the pandemic as a result of our work. It's crazy to just like give that snapshot because it took so much work, so much sweat equity to make that happen. But we're really proud of what we were able to accomplish in 2020 in the midst of such a terrible, year of crisis. And it really helped us, I think, build a base for this, I think, next era of growth at Mandela. We definitely want to keep the CSA program going. We're still thinking creatively about how we maintain sales channels in the absence of such generous grant funding. That's always on our mind as an organization, as a food hub, is how do we maintain viability as grant funding continues to fluctuate? And we know that our programs, our food hub will always have to be subsidized, and anything that I think is community driven and really environmentally sustainable is going to need a degree of subsidy to continue to last. I think that should absolutely be the norm. Next slide. So just really quickly, like I shared, we want to continue to grow our CSA social enterprise. We really want to grow Mandela Produce Distribution's network of mission-aligned customers, especially among institutions. There's so much potential to create sales channels through institutional procurement partnerships, but it's a really difficult nut to crack because there's such a gap between, I think, the network of farmers that we traditionally support and the criteria and requirements that institutions place on vendors to access those sales channel opportunities. So we're trying to fill that gap. How do we link these priority farmers to these opportunities and make them more accessible, and in a way that can be replicated in other geographies across the state, across the country. Another big priority this year is expanding into a new warehouse facility and office space. As I'm sure Rashad knows, especially Oakland commercial real estate is a gauntlet, if not a nightmare. It's so expensive, and there are so many groups that are doing really critical food work, that have been doing critical food work for a long time, that need space. So I think it'll be really interesting to see what opportunities arise over the next year and how funders will show up to that too, to really support folks that are doing amazing work on the ground, that have a proof of concept. So if there are any funders in the audience, please listen. This is important. And then lastly, workforce development and job training. Mandela Partners runs another program called the Regenerate Opportunity Program that is kind of like a culinary apprenticeship program. We started placing folks in restaurants. Obviously, that industry is in a major state of flux right now. So we've expanded to food e-commerce. We're interested in creating, internship and training opportunities within our warehouse space. Just long story short, really focus on how we can support job creation and job readiness in food industry, food e-commerce sectors. Hope I'm on time. I feel like I blew through that, but that's all I had. If anyone has questions, I'll put my email address in the chat. Please feel free to reach out. I love talking about our work and thinking through like potential partnerships. And thanks again for having me here. It's such an honor to share this panel with Rashad and Susie. They are doing incredible work, and just really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sierra. Now Susie is up.
I'm gonna share my screen. Not seeing the button to. Well, I might need you to advance the slides. Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thanks for having me. I am Susie Sutphin. I am the founder director of the Tahoe Food Hub. We are a 501c3 founded in 2012, but starting in 2009, I knew about organic, but quickly, when I learned about regenerative agriculture, it really kind of opened my eyes and kind of began a 4-year journey to figure out, what we could do to get more farmers farming this way. If we can grow healthy food and mitigate climate change at the same time by sequestering carbon in the soil, what can we do, to help make that happen? And 2011, I took a year-long independent study to really focus on that. And I guess you can control. I don't have control of the slide. It doesn't look like, oh, there it goes. Maybe it's just delayed. Oh, there we go. So what I learned in that process was that before I talk farm to table, we have to, get, before we talk about, the table, we have to get it to the market. We have to help those farmers access those markets. Sorry if I'm sounding a little bit, I have a lot of echo going on. So it's a little, I don't know if some people are still need to mute the screen, but that might help. There's a lot of kickback on my end. So yeah, I don't know, let me take this off. That's better. Can you still hear me okay? Yeah, okay, sorry. There's a lot of excess noise that is making it hard to concentrate. So where was I saying? So sorry, the noise really kind of threw me off. So in 2012, we've launched the Food Hub for about 6, 7, 8 years. It was really just focused on wholesale. And we started a little farm shop where people could come in and they could purchase the produce directly. Always wanted to find a way to, always looking for ways to increase access. That's always been our mission, into the community, whether it was through wholesale, getting people into grocery stores to buy the food, restaurants, in our farm shop, but also seeing that people, online trends of people shopping online and then being able to customize their box as CSAs, traditional community supported agricultural programs where people just get a box where they don't get to customize it, seeing that potentially where people, they wanted that customization. So we created what is called Harvest to Order, and we started that in summer of 2019. And it's a good thing we did, because I guess we had some foresight into what was to come, because this is what really allowed us to pivot once the pandemic hit. And it really, Harvest to Order really fits in with our organizational goals of supporting diversified family farms, creating access to local food. And with all of that, it's helping to, mitigate climate change. It's really kind of always kind of coming back around to that. In the fall of 2019, we launched our Giving Box program, and it kind of had a slow start. The idea was initially for businesses to, donate money to our organization that we would use to pay farmers for first quality food. So we're supporting farmers and then turning and giving that food to people in need. But it just wasn't really resonating. We thought it'd be a great way for businesses to have an affordable way to be philanthropic and give back to their community, help those in need, and support farmers. And we thought, well, why don't we put it on our online farmers market? So at this point, we've got, again, people coming in our physical retail space, we've got our wholesale markets, and then we have this online farmers market, Harvest to Order. And through that, people could purchase, customize their own box of produce, and donate a box to someone in need. So move forward now to March of 2020, and Harvest to Order, as you can imagine, people were freaking out. They're like, where are we going to get food? And we went from 40 online orders to 100 in a week to 200 in 2 weeks, and then 300 within a few weeks after that. So it was a pretty fast pivot. And again, yeah, definitely a testament to our team to be able to transition so quickly. And, food security, can kind of mean somewhat, I think, different things. And what I quickly realized is we saw supply chain shortages happening. I mean, that wasn't even on our radar. I mean, because of the direct relationships we have with all of our farmers and our ranches, we never experienced that. And so it was kind of hard to understand how that was even happening. But I realized the value that we had in these direct relationships, and our farmers who were losing their restaurant accounts, we were able to, take that food and be able to get it out into, our community here in Tahoe. And so the Giving Box program, people started noticing it. And that's kind of what I really wanted to kind of focus on. There's a little bit of a delay in the, advancing the slides. Unless, are you advancing the slides? There we go. Okay, so this is what our farm shop used to look like. It's all pretty. We wore nice clothes, I guess. And it was, really set up just like a little grocery store. It's all specialty products from local producers in Northern California. And of course, whether it's specialty products, proteins, and produce. We converted this entire space to this kind of mass distribution. Next slide. Okay. This is really slow. So yeah, not so pretty anymore. This was first or second week of the pandemic. I had really no idea. I mean, it's complete chaos trying to learn how to build this many orders this quickly. And next slide. So we got a little bit more organized, streamlined the process, and we're still streamlining it, still trying to figure out how best to, be efficient, be accurate, and get the produce out to as many people as we can. So in this picture, we're building, we have a small box and a small harvest box and a big harvest box. And we also then have our Giving Box program. So about 4 weeks into the pandemic, we noticed a huge jump. Donations, as people were shopping for their own, customizing their own boxes, they were donating a box at the same time. And 1 week it was like, 5, 10 donations. Then it went to 70. And we thought people had made a mistake. We thought they had clicked on the wrong box. We thought they wanted to purchase a box for themselves. So we contacted all of them. And they're like, no, we wanted to donate a box. And that's when we really knew we were onto something, and we had the potential to support a growing community of people who were facing food insecurity for the first time. As all of our communities were, people who were out of work for the first time, probably never thought they would find themselves in a position of being food insecure. And it's a scary proposition, and not knowing, maybe where your next meal is going to come from. We needed more than just our food banks and our food pantries. And I think all of our communities saw a lot of pivoting and ways in which food was getting out to those in need. And since the wholesale community, our restaurants, our grocery stores are what launched the Food Hub, it was our chance to give back to them. All these restaurant workers who were laid off or had compromised hours, we emailed all of our chefs and said, hey, we have this Giving Box program, and as their donations were coming in, it was funding this program. Have your employees who are now laid off or compromised hours, have them contact us, and they can get a free box of produce. It has about a $20 value. And we saw 140 employees at our peak coming through that program. And then the donations started coming in from all over the place. So we were collecting donations. Next slide. Donations were coming in not only through our Harvest to Order program, they were coming in through our online platform. They were coming in from foundations, private donors. Next slide. This is just setting up for all the produce in the morning. More of our harvest box line. Next slide. Building our harvest boxes and our Giving Boxes. Scanning through some of these, just giving you a picture of kind of what it all looks like. Next slide. I don't know why I'm having a hard time with this. Getting them all set up. We use biodegradable bag, which is really cool. Next slide. Sorry, this is definitely slow. You know, one of the things like, you know, how are we going to be able to get all of these boxes out there? So that's when we found these, you know, we started using buckets as a reusable container. Next slide. Lots of volunteers coming out to support us. You know, had to keep it fun. This is our mascot, the Hubster. That's our logo, which is Lake Tahoe turned into a vegetable. And, you know, every now and then we got to put on the costume and keep it light. Next slide. Next slide. Just pictures of the harvest boxes. And this is what distribution kind of looks like. People coming to our warehouse just outside. We've been, you know, and we were masked up and gloved from day one. I think people really appreciated that. I think they came to us out of necessity and stayed with us because of the quality. You know, we were disinfecting all of our tables, keeping, you know, spatial distance with the, you know, so each person could pack their own order in a clean space, you know, socially distanced from everybody. Next slide. Really long delay. So with the donations that were coming in, we needed to start reaching out because we had, you know, more money and we had a lot of food to be able to give. So we reached out to our school district. And so this is what it looks like every Thursday morning. We have a bunch of vans show up and we donate 65 to 80 boxes a week to our school district. And then we had our restaurant employees who are picking up from us directly. And things also have been changing over the course of the past year, more employees going back to work. But we will recognize the need that, you know, there are still many people who maybe they're not seeking out their food banks. Maybe they're at a church and, you know, other congregational members know that they're in need. So we've been reaching out to local churches and just trying to find all those nooks and crannies where there could be need in the community. And, you know, those particular people aren't, you know, finding the resources to access the food. And a lot of times with our food banks, you know, it is commodity-based foods, it's maybe conventional food, processed foods, packaged foods. What we are offering is fresh, local produce, first quality produce. And that's what, you know, we hope will enable us to continue doing this. It's not just something we want to do during the pandemic, but recognizing with, you know, diet-related diseases that we have, that the fresh local produce helping people eat healthier and the recipes that we include in the boxes can really make a difference. Next slide. This is with our, a year ago, we had like 5-6 employees. Many of these people started as volunteers. So through the pandemic and pivoting, we've been able to employ a lot of people who had, you know, found themselves out of work. And now we just have this amazing team, which I give them this is the Food Business Award plaque. And I really wanted to give it to them because they're the ones that really made it all happen. Next slide. It's going. So through the Giving Back program from April 2020 to February of this year, we've raised over $170,000, donated 5,000 giving boxes. And on average, that's about 120. And with increased donations, we're getting that up to 140 boxes now a week. And as I mentioned earlier, we're collecting those donations in 3 ways: through our website, direct contributions, and our weekly harvest order. And so each week when people are placing orders, we're raising, you know, anywhere from $900 to $1,200 every single week. So our hope is that we can almost create our own endowment. So we have a certain threshold that we never drop below. And so at any given point, we'll always have a 5 to 6 month cushion to be able to provide food to our community. I think I've got next a video on this next slide. So I don't know if you guys want to cue that up, or here's some pictures of our farmers, because obviously without them growing all the amazing food, we wouldn't be able to feed our community quite in the same way. Next slide. God, it's just really Sorry, the slides are really slow. It's in there somewhere. There we go. All right, I think it's the next slide. We've got the video. So we won or awarded a Placer Shares grant, and they came out and did a fabulous video of our organization and an opportunity to summarize a lot of what I just said. So
we are a 501c3 nonprofit founded in 2013 with the mission to support local farms and to increase access to the local food in North Lake Tahoe. We have our Giving Box program, which provides an equal access to the food that we source by giving back to people in need and those facing food insecurity in our community. Since COVID, we are definitely seeing a new demographic of people who are facing food insecurity for the first time.
A ton of employees have been laid off, and I think what the Food Hub really does is help to prevent some of that insecurity, the food insecurity that our community feels, you know, on a regular basis. There's a lot of that happens in a seasonal, tourist-driven town.
In the past, any of our food donation had been through gleaning and donations of, you know, second harvest. But with the Giving Box program, we've been able to provide a fair market price for our farmers. So they're getting a fair market price, and so that our recipients of the Giving Box program are getting first quality produce.
It's all local, organic, unique products. There's always a list of what you're getting. Sometimes they include a recipe for it.
For example, over Thanksgiving, we were able to do a special box. We did a whole Thanksgiving meal box to go to 60 families to be sure that they had a recipe book to use every product in the box, but also enough food to celebrate the holiday. And, you know, there's just so much uncertainty in your employment, in a tourism economy, and whether kids are going to be back at school. They're supplying more meals for their family, and they need to know that there's going to be enough healthy food on their table every week.
Oh my gosh, Tahoe Food Hub has been an incredible organization since day one. I was just blown away offering this produce to the community and generating the funds to help all these restaurant workers out. Their generosity and their willingness to make this happen has been like a game changer for a lot of people. It means a lot to receive this every week.
Okay. All right. Well, that gives you a good snapshot more about the Giving Box program. And just in closing, kind of where we were into where we are now. The Tahoe Food Hub was probably 80% wholesale with restaurants, grocery stores, schools, and hospitals before COVID, and 20% with our harvest to order and farm shop, where the retail aspect. And that is completely flipped. So with COVID, we are now 80% retail with our online farmers market, where we're collecting those donations for the Giving Box program, and then probably 20% wholesale. So it's been just pretty significant to see it grow and be able to support more of our farmers, as well as ensure that we're having, because equal access has always been a big part of what we wanted to do, but haven't really been able to find the best way to do it. And the Giving Box program has definitely allowed us that. So thank you for letting us share. Sorry, it was a little bit, the slides were a little slow and I had a little bit of a slow start there, but kind of hopefully got my groove on, and you got a good picture of what we do.
Wow, thank you so much, Susie. And to all of you for amazing presentations. We just have a few minutes left here, and there are some questions that I see here in the question box. So let me just go through some of them. There's a couple here at the top for Rashad. So one of them is, how were you able to get funding to start your innovative model? Oh, you're muted.
Okay, we're all good.
Yeah.
So with our current location that we're doing, our food, our ghost kitchen, I funded that all myself through my own investments when I was making plates for a lot of people that were impacted by COVID. So I would just take that money that I was making from there and I would invest it back into our current location, which is our 2,500 square foot kitchen space that we have, where we have about 9 members operating out of. And for the model that I showed you guys today, that is what we are looking for funding for right now, to build that out. But our currently, I've invested my my money, my body, my mind, and my spirit into what we're doing now. So yeah, thank you for the question.
Okay. And it looks like this, I think this is for you too. With all the growth that you were mentioning, do you see this possibly expanding to other states or partnering with similar kinds of programs in other states?
Yes, I do. This is why I've taken so long to really create this model, because my goal would be to partner with other cities in other states to bring this type of model there, because I think that it could be beneficial for our economy across our country. If we would invest more into small businesses, into more local community people that are doing community things. And I just like to sometimes just be a voice for the entrepreneur that sometimes doesn't get the platform to be able to speak. I like to sometimes just give that feedback, because sometimes we have so many different people that are at the table, but unless you've been a food entrepreneur and you've really done it, you've built the business and you know what that feels like, you're really not going to know completely what these food entrepreneurs need to be successful and to be sustainable.
Great. Well, apparently that question was for the other two panelists as well, in terms of expanding the organization to surrounding states at all.
Mandela Partners does not have any intention to expand beyond the Bay Area. Our work is definitely very place-based. I think we definitely want to support other organizations or community-led initiatives that want to implement a similar model. And so we do some consulting work as well. We're working with a group in Stockton. It's a primarily Cambodian affordable housing complex that's interested in starting a community-owned food enterprise. That's one of the first kind of consulting clients in our network. But I think just for the time being, we want to stay based in Alameda County.
Thank you. And Susie, how about you?
Yeah, kind of in a couple different ways. Like Sierra mentioned, definitely being a model for other communities on how they can establish a food hub. I mean, we're an unlikely place because we're not based in an agricultural area, but we do have proximity to year-round food within just 50 to 60 miles. And so that was a big impetus in starting the food hub, was having that close access to year-round food. Two is partnering with other food hubs. And actually this conversation, Sierra, I will be calling you because we partner with Cape Valley Farm Shop and Esparto to help us increase the amount of food, support more farms. And not sure what your farmers availability is, but we're always looking to support more farms and increase our access to that food. But one project we're working on is a way in which to expand. It's kind of a little bit, maybe a small version of what Rashad is doing. It's called the Farmer's Truck. Actually, anybody could get one. It's a company that converts a Sprinter van into a mobile farmer's market, where the whole side panel opens up on one side, curbside, and people can go shopping. And we want to use that in a variety of different ways, kind of expanding beyond just Tahoe itself. In our region surrounding us within 100 miles, we have a lot of food deserts. Places like Oakland, you would typically think those where the food deserts are, but our urban area, our rural areas have so many food deserts, all the way down the 395 corridor, Bridgeport and all those little towns that have to travel an hour or more to get to a grocery store, smaller little areas like Downeyville and places like that. So we north of us in like the ranch lands, all these small communities don't have, they have to drive a really long way. And if we could go into those communities, set up a pop-up farmers market, we could also help change some minds and, some skepticism around organic food and what that means and how it can support local farms. But we can also take this farmers market into low-income communities, offering, taking SNAP and EBT cards, and maybe double up bucks, so people can take that $20, turn it into $40 to get access to fresh, healthy food and maybe also another way for us to distribute our giving boxes. Many of our giving boxes are picked up by people, both the school and the churches, and it's delivered to their door because some of these people don't have cars. And so again, with this mobile farmers market, we could be going into these committees ourselves to distribute our giving boxes, but also make those people part of the solution, part of the local food economy by helping them use their dollars to support these local farms. And then thirdly, it would actually also be part of our traveling farm to school program, where we could set up a pop-up classroom outside of schools to engage students about their local food system, sustainable agriculture, and the culmination of that class project would be to host a farmers market after school using our mobile van. So that would be, we would be expanding, going like 100+ miles outside of Tahoe.
Thank you. Well, we each have 1 minute each, 1 minute. Many students are attending this conference. So what can college students do to support your work? Just one sentence or so, and then it's time for us to wrap up. Rashad, how about you?
Well, I think that one of the ways that college students can help support any organization that's trying to come off the ground is I'm somebody that I love new, fresh ideas, and I love innovative ideas. I love things that kind of push the boundaries. So in any way, giving your support, your knowledge that you know, doing an internship, coming to work with us during the summertime, supporting in any way, in any talent that you have, offering it to us. And in turn, we can help you as you go through your college experience also. So coming to work for an organization like Minds and other organizations that are going to be talking gives you firsthand knowledge on the things that you need to know before you get out there into the real world. So internships, employment, I'm totally open for that, and they can email me if they want any more information about that.
Thank you. Sarah, one sentence.
Yeah, I really appreciate your response, Rashad. I think like holding us accountable that our work remains relevant and innovative. I think based on what students are learning about in college, sometimes we get very deep in the weeds and we're not staying up to date on, I think, the most cutting edge programming that's out there. So yeah, like doing a temperature check on our work.
Thank you. Great idea. How about you, Susie?
Well, I think that there's, going to your farmer's market. I think, it seems like, oh, when I'm out of college and I have money, I'll do those types of things. Start today. I think there's a misunderstanding that organic food is expensive, and maybe it's a little bit expensive, but if we buy what we know we're going to eat, you can't afford local organic food. A lot of food goes to waste in our fridges, and if we just buy the amount that we need, I think everyone would be really surprised. Maybe the students don't have access to kitchens, but get some fruits, things that you can eat without much preparation. But I think just visiting your farmer's market will be a good stepping stone.
Wow. Thank you so much, all of you. Fabulous. I want to just, we could all applaud together here. Well, it's time for us to conclude, it looks like, and the next session is coming up. The conference organizers say, please stay with us. Immediately following this session is the Student Poster Awards, and then a dynamic wrap up that you don't want to miss with Ruben Canedo. So please, everybody, stay on for that thing. And I hope you all get a chance to connect with these fabulous panelists who have done such a great job in telling us about their operations. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone.
Thank you.